Welcome to the Sunrise Computer Training video for ED techs at Jefferson Northeast. To access the Sunrise computer system, select the icon from your desktop labeled Sunrise 16.3 PROD. The Sunrise system defaults to the ED status board. In this dropdown, you will also have access to the patient list, which will take you to our inpatient units. B is for the Bucks campus, F for the Frankfurt campus units, and G for Charlestown. Go back to the emergency room, select the drop-down menu, ED status board. In the department drop-down menu, you'll have access to our Bucks campus ER, as well as the Frankfurt campus and the Charlestown campus emergency room. There are different views for the various emergency rooms, which can be selected from this menu. If you're working in a specific pod or fast track or triage, you can select those areas. And inactive patients are patients that leave the emergency room and they stay on this list for approximately 5 days. The first view, 01, is the main emergency room, which will show you all rooms, all departments. You have the option to put some filters on your view. For example, I'm seeing all the empty beds in the Charlestown emergency room. To filter those out, I'll select Hide Empty Locations, Apply Filter, and Close. The ED status board is the first tab, which is your default upon logging in. Notice the other tabs and some of the icons are grayed out because I have not selected a patient. Once you single click on any patient, their name appears at the top of the screen. This is called the header. And now all of the tabs and the remaining icons are active. You can get a lot of information about your patients working from this status board. And then if you needed to go into a particular patient's chart, then you would select the additional tabs such as orders, results, documents, and flow sheets. I can see that Gwen is in exam room 11. She was admitted July 24. Her most recent vital signs would display here. This first set of numbers is her MR or medical record number. That second set is the visit account or AR number. I can see her age, date of birth, gender, and allergies in the header area as well. On the status board, you have a lot of columns here with a lot of information. The first column is their room. This is in alphabetical order. If you need to change your patient's room, a double click over that category will allow you to change their room. The patient's name. If the patients have these blue people icons, hovering tells me there's a similar name alert. The patient with that similar name is listed at the very end of the status board. If the patient is highlighted in orange, it means they've been escorted in by a police or correctional officer. The next column is the patient's primary care physician. The next column is for vital signs. You can hover over these heart icons and you will get a pop-up window listing all of the patient's vital signs. An abnormal value will be denoted with a single red arrow. A critical value would have a double red arrow. The icons in front of the hearts signify that this green means this is a normal set of vital signs. The yellow triangle means they are abnormal. And the red means they are critical. The next column is for the reassessment frequency. This is for the nurse. The reassessment timer is also for the nurse. The vital sign timer, hovering will tell me when was the last time this patient has had vital signs documented. The timer is set for 60 minutes, and anything over 60 minutes is overdue. Blue signifies overdue. The triage impression is coming from the RN in their triage note. The age category, pink and blue, boys and girls. The acuity carry column will be 1 through 5 for ESI scoring, 1 being your most acute patient. Arrival time since the patient has been registered. The MSG or message column is a free text column for communication with your emergency room staff. This column does not lay down permanently to the patient's chart and can be removed by backspacing that information out of there. To get the physician's attention, if you type the asterisk and MD and your message, that column will be highlighted green. If you'd like to get the RN's attention, it's star RN. It will change the highlighting color to blue. No star, no color. Admit to is generally done by the unit clerks. I double click, and an inpatient bed assignment can be assigned to the patient. STS stands for status. What is the status of the patient? When patients come in through the registration, they are automatically assigned a status of triage. It means they're waiting to be triaged. After that, a double click will allow that column to be changed. WTBS is waiting to be seen. TIP, treatment in progress. Other statuses that you'll see frequently will be transfer, discharge, AMA, stroke, STEMI. ETSTS, elapsed time in this status. How long have they been waiting to be seen? How long have they been waiting for admission or discharge? The disposition status will come from the physician's note, and that will either be admission, discharge, or transfer. Temporary location, you can double click when you take your patient to another area. That location will also now be denoted in their header area. The next column, LAL, length at location, will time how long they've been in that location. To remove a patient from the location, select the top area that is empty, and that will clear out your location and stop the timer. MD, resident, mid-level, and RN, they double click to insert their name. HCG will show positive or negative based on the nurse's documentation or your documentation. The check orders flag is for the nursing staff to review the current orders placed by the physician. The new results column is for physicians to view new results. The call log column is for the unit clerks who need to make phone calls. Lab, UA, EKG, radiology, and CAT scan. These columns will develop if a patient has an order for that particular category or a result. Hovering over this icon, which is called a badge, will show me that order or that result. Preliminary diagnosis is from the emergency room physician. Once a disposition has been decided, these columns will be pre-filled from the physician's note, such as admit to ICU with abdominal pain to Dr. Smith. The second tab are the orders for Gwen Norback. What orders currently exist in Sunrise? These are broken down into departments such as lab, medications, cardiology, nursing, dietary. There's a status column toward the right telling me the status of these orders. Are they active and pending, or had they already been completed, canceled, or discontinued? Notice here that active orders are bold and completed or discontinued orders are not bold and they are slightly italicized. To collect or status a lab from here, you can check off the lab you are collecting. Either right-click to add specimen, or there's an icon, add specimen. Select the specimen if needed, and then enter a start date and a start time. Selecting the large arrow will open a calendar. Today's date is circled, and then you can type in your time. And then OK. Because I am in a training environment, not in the real environment, we are not communicating or interfacing with other systems. That's what this alert is for. You will not receive this in the real system. And I am also not printing today. You can see that this urinalysis now has a status of collected. If you need additional information about any of these orders, you can always double-click the order and it will show you the original order form. I can see who ordered it, and if there's any special instructions, that's generally more toward the bottom. The next tab is results. On the results tab, you will see flags. A green flag signifies a normal result. A red flag is an abnormal result. And the yellow flag signifies a text or typed up result. To view one result, a double click over the individual flag will enable you to see that one result. Changing your display view to summary will take you back to this grid. This is your default. To see everything in a particular category, double click over that particular category. All of those results will be displayed. I'll change my view back to summary. To see everything for a particular date, select that date. To see everything in a particular category, such as laboratory, highlight the entire category. Report by order is the default when you double click. You can also do a trend view, placing the results side by side, and then back to the display view of summary. The next tab is patient info. Over here on the left are various items that you can view. We don't use the data entry section. This is how the registration clerks place the patients into Sunrise. Here you can view allergies as well as in your patient header. Care providers are the patient's physician, their nurse, and if they had a social worker, that would also be considered a care provider. Health issues is their chief complaint. Significant events is advanced directive information. Address, demographics, employer, and visit history will show you every time the patient has been here and their visit reason. The next tab is documents. These are the physician notes, the nursing notes, care management notes. A single click will open the note on the right-hand side. A double click opens it in a larger window. The next tab is flow sheets. Bottom left are the different flow sheets for this particular patient. Vital signs, intake and output, ED reassessment. These are flow sheets that you will have access to. And I'll have us document on those after we're finished looking at the rest of the patient's chart. The clinical summary is a summary of their chart in one area. Here you have different boxes or tiles with a lot of information, such as their home medications, their vital signs, allergies, documents, health issues, and results. The last two tabs allow you to pull up old charts in Sunrise. If this patient had been here before, I could select a previous visit and a chart summary would be displayed. The timeline across the bottom of the screen, I can see that this patient has had 2 visits. I can scroll the timeline over to see their previous visits. Back to the ED status board is back to the home page. We'll take a look at the toolbar and the icons at the top of the screen here. The previous and next icons allow you to scroll from patient to patient. So if I'm on my documents or my flow sheets, I'm looking at Gwen's flow sheets, I can go to the next patient and I can look at Barbara's and Jane's and so on. Refresh. There's also a refresh button at the bottom left of the screen. This will pull in new information. The Sunrise system does auto refresh every 60 seconds. Find patient and find visit. Using either of these icons, you can locate a patient not on your status board. To use this, as long as you know a last name or a medical record number. I can locate this patient here as a Tarsdale 3A in room 3351. Enter document, you will not be using this is how the physicians and nurses enter some notes. The allergy summary is another way of viewing your patient's allergies. The work list manager allows you to document on tasks. Tasks that have been assigned to ED techs are generally the finger sticks for the blood glucose. Currently, I am viewing the work list manager for this patient, Gwen. You can also view for all of your patients on one list. It's defaulting to today's date and today's shift. These dates and times can always be updated and changed if needed, depending on your shift. The patient's name is in gray and the tasks are listed below that. A green or stat task allows you to document it at any time along this timeline. A yellow, which is a scheduled task, will plot out the schedule on when it wants you to do your documenting. If I want to document that I did the 7 o'clock blood sugar for Gwen, a double click in that yellow cell, check mark signifies it's done, and then those are my initials. Come 11 o'clock, I am not able to do the blood sugar on Gwen. She has refused. To document I did not do this task, you can either highlight the task, select the red mark as not done icon, or a right click. The third option is mark as not done. You do have to give a reason why you did not do this. You can type in here or you can pick from the menu. You need a reason, you do not need a comment. The red X signifies it was not done, and then again, those are my initials. Because it's about 12 noon currently, I cannot document my 4 p.m. blood sugar. In Sunrise, you can always backdate in time. You cannot go more than 1 hour into the future. You can, however, change times. If for some reason I did this blood sugar at 12 noon, if I open the form, it will tell me I cannot document that far in the future. The form opens and I can change the time if needed. There is a comment field if needed for any free texting. And I've now documented that form. The next icon is the printer, print reports. If the patient is ever leaving our emergency room, going to another facility, the unit clerk will print the ED chart here. ED chart 1 of 2 and ED chart 2 of 2 will print the entire ER record. Other items that can be printed from here, orders, results, and documents. You will not need the icon to change their location or the signature manager. The icon for drug information is an FYI for your own information. If you wanted to get some education on a particular medication, this will give you various information such as pharmacology, side effects, different brand and generic names. The icon for health issues, again, will show you their chief complaint and their diagnosis. The icon labeled discharge instructions for the current patient. This is how you can print any education needed for this patient. The patient's name and medical record number should be pre-filled. And then to choose your education, you'll use the option at the top left, choose titles. It may default to the patient's current diagnosis. To get to additional education, select the first tab, document by category. There are over 5,000 educational documents listed here. The search box is at the bottom left. Type in the education you're looking for. To preview any of the education, check it off. Select the tab Preview highlighted. This document is available in English and Spanish. I'll close my preview. Notice this document is listed on the far right under selected documents. You can have multiple documents here and print them at one time. When finished selecting your education, done at the bottom right, and then select print, fax, email to print this education. These are the 3 documents I'm printing, and I'll select print. Those documents are now being loaded into Sunrise, and when the physician prints the patient's discharge instructions, any education chosen will print at that time. All education is documented in 2 separate areas. One is now on the Documents tab. The document is labeled Patient Education. And the other area that it's documented in is in the next icon called the Education Log. If I select View Log, I can see what education was printed here. The next icon is Health Manager. This is used for immunizations by the nursing staff. The Outpatient Medication Review is the patient's home medication list. Again, entered by the nursing staff. The Missogram icon, this is a miscellaneous icon. It takes you to the ARIA intranet. Selecting a dietary snackogram or a miscellaneous free text misogram allows me to order supplies for my emergency room. The nursing information section has various miscellaneous information, such as height and weight conversion charts from pounds to kilograms and inches to centimeters. Lab tubes, you're drawing a lab, you're not sure what color tube to put it into. Translators and linguists, here's their phone numbers. And physician phone numbers are also listed here. Selecting the X will take you out of that intranet. The last icon, this icon to the left of your patient's name, this is how you can order something for this individual patient. The patient's name is listed at the top, and there are two ways to get to the items you're looking for. One is by just typing that item here. I'm looking for an ACE bandage, I'll type ACE. I will order the 6-inch ACE bandage by selecting an add to the right or by double clicking. The quantity defaults to 1. If you need more than 1, you can highlight the order from the lower window and choose edit. The other option, this is considered manual entry by typing. The other option is the browse or start a browse. Here I can browse through these different departments. SPD is our supply and purchasing department. Another way to get to that ACE bandage. When finished, select submit orders at the bottom for your patient. Those orders will now be viewable on the orders tab under SPD. To do documentation for your patient, you have the option of using flow sheets or documents. I will select the vital sign flow sheet for this patient. I need to get myself a column started on the right here to do my documenting. You can either right click over the flow sheet and add a single time column or select the icon add time column options. You're always going to add a single time column. The current date and time displays. You can always backdate and time this if needed. The lock icon at the top of this column tells me that I am actively working here. When finished, I need to remember to save toward the upper right. And if you forget to save, the system will give you a pop-up reminder. To do any documenting, simply click into the cell or the box. You may develop these pound symbols, just ignore them, they will go away. The system will automatically convert it from Fahrenheit to centigrade. If a pop-up box opens and you don't want to document in it, you can say OK to take you to the next box, or cancel or X to close the boxes. If you put in an abnormal value, you will get a red arrow. If you put in a critical value, you'll get a double red arrow. Again, if the box opens, you can OK or cancel. I'll do respirations. Under respirations, SpO2% is for pulse ox. Our hospital policy is if you are documenting a pulse ox, you must answer the next question, O2 delivery, patient on. Are they on room air? Are they on oxygen? To free text in any of these boxes, the free text field is at the bottom of the pop-up box. Blood pressure. Will automatically calculate a mean, and the source if you wanted to document arm, leg, etc. Body measurements is for height and weight. Again, kilograms and centimeters. That's the end of the flow sheet for you. There's a pain section at the bottom which does not need to be completed. So the height and weight is the end for you. When I'm finished, I will save the flow sheet. That little lock icon has gone away. If I need to go back in and make a change, simply click into the field and make your change. And then again, I'll need to save it. The C stands for change or correction. You can also change your date and time or remove the entire column if you're on the wrong patient. That's done by right-clicking over the date and time. I could delete the entire column, or I could change my date and time. The next flow sheet that you may use is the ED reassessment intervention flow sheet. The same functionality is I need to add a single time column. Again, I can change the date and time if needed. The lock icon is here, signifying this is an actively open flow sheet. A lot of items are collapsed. That's what the colored row signifies. If I click anywhere in that color row, it will expand it out. The white cells are where you'll be doing your documentation. The notification section, if you have done an EKG and handed it to the physician, you can document that here. The safety check section. To document that you've checked their ID bracelet, their name and date of birth, allergies, and the call bell. You can select all of the above. You also have the option if the patient is wearing a pink identification bracelet. Is the patient under police guard or a correctional officer? And if so, where are their handcuffs located? The point of care testing, unfortunately, there is a glitch here. This should have the option for positive or negative that you can select. I will scroll down past the nursing assessment section to the next red area, which are a lot of interventions for ED checks, such as transport. Did you transport your patient? Here's that same safety check again. If you documented it once, you do not need to document it in both sections. Some additional interventions are located below, such as hot and cold applications, incontinence care, positioning, splinting and immobilizing, some miscellaneous interventions are located here, such as specimen collection, crutch training, procedural assistance, food and hydration, any comfort measures. And the last section, this nurse's note section, once you select that, it does open to a free text box if you'd like to document something. Again, I'll need to save it. And if I needed to make any changes, I can click back into the field to make those changes. Or I can adjust the date and time by right-clicking over the date and time. ED techs also have the option of entering vital signs in some of the nursing notes. To do those, you can either use the icon enter document, or at the bottom of my screen, quick launch documents. There's a menu arrow to the right, and you can open a note from here. Vital signs can be entered here. When finished, select Save at the bottom right. Any information entered into a note will auto-generate a flow sheet for the patient. This concludes the tutorial on Sunrise documentation for the ED tech. If you have any additional questions, please contact the Jefferson Northeast Help Desk at 215-612-4026.